In a world that screams for your attention, there's a place that invites you to peace. You don't need a building. You don't need a choir. You just need to turn your heart to Air One.
Air One. Songs that heal. Lyrics that pray for you when you don't have the words.
From Lauren Daigle to Elevation Worship and more.
This isn't just radio. It's worship for the everyday.
Escape the noise and worship now.
Download the Air One app. Ask your smart speaker to play Air One or visit air1.com. Air One. Worship now.
One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake it off with Mert and Lucas. Live starts now on AM 970. The Answer.
Okay, my friend, what is the name of that tune, Alex?
Good evening, Lucas. This is Illegal Party by Kamilala.
Oh, very funny, Alex. Illegal Party. Well, let's take a look at a story that started with Spanish-language billboards along the Texas-Mexico border, and it's become one of our country's most enduring constitutional debates. Get ready for this, Mert. A hospital in the Rio Grande Valley was advertising birth packages, natural deliveries starting at just $3,950 and C-sections at $5,525. Now, this is the catch, Mert. These ads targeted foreign nationals, used a Mexico country code, and directed people to a website called HaveMyBabyInTexas.com. Yeah, the audience is not in favor of that. Now, the hospital has since pulled the billboards, but the firestorm they sparked is only growing. Now, Governor Greg Abbott has called for an immediate state investigation, calling it exploitation. President Trump, who recently lost a birthright citizenship challenge at the Supreme Court, responded by requesting a Supreme Court rehearing on the issue. So let's unpack the facts, the numbers, the Constitution, arguments on both sides, recent polling, key reactions from leaders across the spectrum, and what this could mean for immigration policy and the meaning of American citizenship. No spin, just straight talk. Have you heard about this story, Mert?
Listen, I haven't heard about it, but excuse me if I might sound a little bit like a conspiracy theorist here, but it wouldn't surprise me if the conservatives took out ads and made this whole thing up.
Oh, come on.
So that this type of scandal
the audience is not
could help push their agenda forward. Because if what I'm hearing is correct, you're telling me that they place ads enticing illegals to come to Texas and have a baby so that they could get citizenship. Is that
is correct. They're basically selling citizenship. And it wasn't the Republicans, Mert. It was the hospital. The hospital is, by the way, Mission Regional Medical Center. It sits at the Rio Grande Valley, which is about 5 miles from the major U.S.-Mexico border crossing. It put up the billboards, Mert, and it has not denied that it put up the billboards. So your conspiracy theory doesn't wash. You got to try again. You okay? You okay with the basically saying your kid can be a citizen for $3,950? Because that's basically what they're advertising in Spanish. The sign read, ready? Paquetes de parto en el sur de Texas. Natural birth $3,950. Cesaria $5,525. The phone number was a 001 Mexico code, as I said, and then the website Have My Baby in Texas. Having nothing to do with Republicans, Bert. Try again. Try again.
Listen, well, I'm going to give you credit. It sounds like you practiced pronouncing that, so that was a good job of how you pronounced that, because I don't think I could sound as authentic as you just sounded with that. But I'll say this. when it comes.
What, havemybabyintexas.com?
Well, you said it in Spanish, so it sounded very good. Like you sounded like a native speaker right there. So I was giving you credit.
Well,
but,
no, I took a little bit of Spanish. Paquetes de parto en el sur de Texas.
Better than Bloomberg and de Blasio, I'll say that.
I mean, how close is Italian to Spanish? Because you are Italian. But think about this. I am totally against this because it sounds like if it's not illegal, it should be illegal to promote this type of thing, because it sounds like a type of situation where if you found out somebody was getting paid by illegal immigrants to provide this service, that the person who is being paid would go to jail for a very long time, because it's almost like trafficking illegal immigrants into this country. You know, one of those, what they call those coyote type of situation. So,
oh my goodness, I think I almost agree with him, Alex.
Oh, no, I think you fully agree with what I'm saying, because I am totally against this, because anytime you take...
Yeah, the audience is shocked that I'm actually agreeing.
Well, listen to what I'm saying. Anytime you take advantage of illegal immigrants, I think there should be stiff penalties, which leads me to my next point.
Take advantage of illegal immigrants? What do you mean? This is like helping illegal immigrants, if you think about it.
It's taking advantage of them because you're charging to enrich yourself, taking advantage of their desperation. Oh, you're desperate? All right, you pay me, I'll let you come over here. So it is taking advantage of a situation. So don't try to make it look like, oh, the person received. See, that's a Republican talking point right there.
Oh, my goodness.
And to his point, if the woman does not agree or something, they get beat. Like, there's some real issues in this birthing tourism that we even see here in New York City. So I see where Mert's coming from.
Yes, see, look, what you're saying, you got to be careful what you're saying. You're trying to put this on the immigrants. The immigrants are just trying to escape from poverty. They're just trying to make a way. And they can get duped by these type of situations, because if it is found out that they did something illegal, there's a chance, hey, it's not acceptable, you got to go back. That can happen. That's why these type of situations, you got to watch out, because the Americans who are putting this stuff out there and trying to take advantage of these illegal immigrants, they should be ashamed of themselves. But I also have to jump to these corporations who for the last 50 years have been taking advantage of all this illegal immigrant labor, but nothing happens to them. So this is right in line with all of that. It doesn't shock me that stuff like this is taking place. But I don't agree with it. So, but it's not shocking, and I don't agree with it, and it should be done away with. And I hope that this was just some kind of misunderstanding, because if it's true that something like this actually was able to get onto a website, then it looks like these Americans who are trying to take advantage of these they're just innocent immigrants. They're just trying to make a better living for themselves. They're getting emboldened with their schemes and the lengths that they're willing to go to take advantage of them, and that's not right. If we are to be a Christian nation, how could you do this to somebody who's so vulnerable?
Well, you know what? I don't get, I hear where you're coming from, Mert, but come on, you're going over the top.
I'm not going over the top.
When you say taking advantage, these prices, $39.50 for natural birth and cesarean, $55.25, way under what Americans pay. In fact, I took a look, and the spending on average for a vaginal delivery by Americans, Mert, $15,700, while C-sections, $30,000. So overall, pregnancy, delivery, postpartum care, on average, easily exceeds over $20,000. Okay, so where do they get these prices from, which are way below what Americans are charging?
So
this is not taking advantage.
That's interesting.
This is giving a windfall.
Wait a minute now.
The unauthorized individuals.
Wait a minute now.
Have your baby here. You can get them. They can become citizens, and they'll help you out when they're adults and sponsor you. And in the meantime, it'll only cost you $39.50.
Well, wait a minute. That's a different...
It makes no sense to me.
That's a different dynamic right there, because I could, in theory, see a situation where these hospitals are saying, hey, we're not getting paid when these illegals... we're not getting paid when they drop these babies. So we need to try to get something. So, hey, we'll charge you this. Come have your baby legally, it'll be safe, but just pay this. I could see how somebody could say, hey, we're just trying to get these people into the hospital. They're having these babies in these these dungeons and these basements. They're just popping them out. Have it at the hospital. Pay a smaller fee. You don't have to pay the full price because we know you probably can't afford it. But do it safely. Now, if that's the direction they were trying to go with all of this, I still am against it. But it makes a little bit more sense than somebody just trying to, siphon off and take advantage of illegal immigrants trying to make a pathway to America and using birthright citizenship as an opportunity to do it. I could see a situation where the hospitals are saying, hey, just come on through these doors and do it safely. You're just going to have to pay a small fee of, what's the prices you listed? You said what?
$39.50 for natural birth, $55.25 for cesarean, way under what Americans are billed for the same.
But can you not see how a hospital can try to use that discount to try to get the people to actually do it safe? Wouldn't that make a little bit more sense than the way you're trying to put it? I see Alex over there.
No, I agree. I agree with Murph, because here's the problem. I've heard that in these other quote-unquote birthing hotels, there's a lot of complications, and then they rush to the hospital when it's too late. So I see what Mert's saying is that the hospital is just trying to say, do it the right way. Whether or not someone comes here illegally to put their kid here is not part of the conversation right now. We're saying if they're going to do it safely. I think is what Mert is trying to say here.
How does the message "do it safely" come across at $39.50 and $55.25? Then you would send out a public health message about how to have children, how to safely deliver children. You're making no sense. Alex.
No.
Don't fall for Mert's nonsense.
You know what it's
okay?
like. You know what it's like. It's like when you send out to these convicts who are not making their court dates. You send out, hey, you want a free TV, and they show up to win the free TV, and it's a sting operation. I think that could be going on here, because you could say, hey, come on over here, your baby's going to be fine, you get citizenship, and then you bait and switch them, and you say, you know what, you had the baby, but we're going to send you back. We just made sure everything happened in a healthy way.
But that's not what's happening here. The issue is birth tourism. And the governor, Greg Abbott, he's the governor of Texas, on July 7th sent a letter to the Texas Health and Human Services Commission demanding an immediate investigation. And here's what he wrote in that letter. Birth tourism is an illegal practice that exploits the extraordinary hospitality that the United States and Texas offer to millions of foreign travelers every year. Unfortunately, thousands of foreign travelers come to the United States under false pretenses to give birth and secure citizenship for their children. And he wrote, American citizenship is not for sale, and Texas will not permit our healthcare system to be used as a magnet for birth tourism. And I think that, in part, was what was happening here, to make themselves more attractive as a magnet for birth tourism. And people should be penalized for that. The hospital should be fined. Something should happen to whoever came up with this stupid idea.
Listen, I'm assuming, I'm pretty sure about this. If we do a deep dive investigation, I'm pretty sure my latest theory that this might be a bait and switch situation might be the correct theory, because there's no way a legitimate hospital would be promoting something that sounds illegal. Now, I could be wrong. It sounds illegal, but you know how you lawyers do. Y'all can make something sound illegal. Well, that sounds illegal. Y'all can make it legal, because that's the magic of the legal system in this country. So I don't know if it actually is illegal what they're doing, but it sounds bad, but it could be something that you can walk around and dance around, and, all of a sudden, this was some kind of humanitarian mission. And all of a sudden...
it sounded like become a citizen for $39.50, which, by the way, is a deal.
But I'm trying to say
what I mean, Mert?
But I'm trying to say there's got to be
you're enticing people to cross the border and have babies in the U.S.
But that's what that is. It's got to be a trap. This has to be a trap. It can't. A legitimate hospital would not be dumb enough to promise citizenship.
Well, they were dumb, because the spokesperson said that the hospital spokesperson said that the marketing materials are no longer in use, quote, due to any unintended misunderstanding, end quote.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. Was it a translation from Spanish that we're trying to interpret? Is that what's going on here? Was this written up in Spanish and being interpreted into English, and then the interpretation is what's being mistaken?
Nah, not possible. I just read it in Spanish. Birth packages.
I'm saying, what
birth
was
packages? How do you misunderstand birth packages?
What was the advertisement?
You're trying really hard to find some sort of conspiracy when it's really simple. By the way, the hospital continued. They do, quote, do not support or facilitate any unlawful activity, that they comply with all laws and will cooperate fully while continuing to focus on safe, high-quality care. I don't know. This may have been wokeness gone bad.
No.
If they didn't intend anything illegal, Mert, then this was wokeness. Let's give illegals a break and let them have their babies here. Why do you want to encourage it or facilitate it? I'm not following.
Listen, this is really starting to make sense. I think what's really going on here is we got some angry Americans who want, all immigration to stop and all immigrants to go back to where they come from. And they're taking a Spanish translation and they're warping it when it's getting translated into English. And all of a sudden it has a sinister meaning behind it, because there's no way.
So judges give them a zonk.
You're not going to convince me that a hospital would promote something like this on their website.
They did.
Because
sometimes the simplest things are the truth.
There's too many smart people in
by the
these
way,
places.
This aligns with Trump's attempts to stop automatic citizenship for those that are born here. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court just a few weeks ago on June 30th found against the president and voided one of his executive orders, saying that if a child is born here on our soil, even if it's the child of illegal immigrants, it's subject to the protections of the United States of America and qualifies for citizenship, because Trump was arguing if your parents are illegal and they have no connection to a legal nexus to the country, then the child had no rights.
Knock it off.
That didn't work.
Knock it off. Listen, if you're going to hire illegal immigrants and allow them to be over here and make a living and support themselves, then if they give birth over here, that's something that we're going to have to eat, because how are they able to be over here and survive? The only way they can do that is if there's some American companies that are providing this money for them to live over here. So don't try to put the problem off on these illegal immigrants. Cut off the food, cut off the source, that's the money, cut off the jobs, and then they won't be able to stay over here and give birth, because they'll probably die from starvation, or they'll see, hey, we can't make a living over here, we have to go back. But there's an underground economy that's fueling all of this, and if you're not willing to address that, I don't want to hear anything about birthright citizenship. I want you to go address that first and foremost, because that's the one thing that I don't see.
Well, one hospital's billboard in South Texas didn't create this fight. It simply lit the fuse on a powder keg that has been building for years. President Trump is pushing for a rehearing. States like Texas are moving aggressively. The Supreme Court has drawn a line. For now, Congress could act. The American people remain split almost down the middle, depending on who you ask about this issue. But at stake is not just one policy, Mert. It's the value, the meaning, and the future of American citizenship itself. Something millions have fought and died to defend, and something that still draws people from every corner of the earth. The battle is far from over. The questions are only getting louder, and the answers we choose in the coming months and years will shape America for generations to come. And we're ready to shape you too. You're listening to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas Live. We're truly honored to have you along with us for the ride. Just in case you're keeping count, this is episode 106. Come on, would you believe it? This is Lucas Ferrara, and we're ever mindful that without you, our listeners, we wouldn't have made it this far. We're truly grateful for your support. We've got some great guests in store for you today. But before we unleash them, I want to introduce you to my co-host. You heard from from him, the conspiracy theorist who always gets it
That's
wrong.
not true.
It's the Mert Roberts, affectionately known as the Mertinator, engineering and producing this show. None other than Alex Garrett, who's got a 5-star rated podcast, One Leg Up with Alex Garrett. Please check it out. And Master Control, the genius, Armin Santos, is operating those terrible machines back there. Thank you, Armin. We have 2 special guests in store for you in just a little bit. We're going to be joined by Colonel Kurt Schlichter. He's a retired U.S. Army infantry officer, trial lawyer, and best-selling author. And we're going to be talking about his upcoming book, American Warlord. And later in the program, we sit down with Alicia Scoville, retired U.S. Air Force sergeant, and she's a veterans advocate. It's a jam-packed show. Don't you dare drift. Don't even blink. Shake It Off with Bert, Alex, and all of us here at AM 970 returns after these messages.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 55 East 59th Street, New York City. Go online to NewmanFerrara.com. That's NewmanFerrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Born on America's darkest day of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping America's heroes ever since. And in this 25th anniversary year of 9/11, we're reminded that the toll of that day is still affecting heroes and their families. Heroes like NYPD officer Anthony Tony DeRasmo, who answered the call in the aftermath of 9/11. DeRasmo spent time in his search and recovery efforts at the World Trade Center following the attacks. He later developed cancer linked to his service at Ground Zero, and he passed away in 2017. He is survived by his loving wife Beth and his children. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honored DeRasmo by providing his family with a mortgage-free home through the Fallen First Responder Home Program. Donate $11 monthly at T2T.org. That's T2T.org. And help more families like the DeRasmos. That's T2T.org.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Larry Elder here. These words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when pain is part of everyday life. Relief Factor was created to help people address inflammation, one of the most common causes of ongoing aches and pains from aging, overexertion, and just good old daily living. It's a 100% drug-free, research-based formula that works through multiple metabolic pathways to support comfort and mobility. No prescription, no masking symptoms, just real relief so you can keep moving forward. I take Relief Factor every single day, have done so for years. I don't want my pain to come back. As America celebrates 250 years of independence, give yourself the chance to reclaim yours. To commemorate, we're offering a special patriotic price, just $17.76, so you can pursue your happiness being pain-free. Your $17.76 3-week quick start is ready for you. Relief Factor, because freedom just feels better without pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF, 800-4-RELIEF.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Most Americans think of Abraham Lincoln and they think of the Civil War or the Emancipation. But in 1862, he signed another hugely significant piece of legislation, the Homestead Act. It offered eligible Americans up to 160 acres of land, not as a prize for the powerful, but as an opportunity for ordinary families willing to live on it, work it, and build something lasting. Why did it matter? Because Lincoln understood that freedom was not merely the absence of tyranny. Rather, freedom required responsibility, labor, stewardship, and moral courage. A free people must be given room to build, but they also must be willing to cultivate what they have been given. That still matters today. Liberty without responsibility decays. Opportunity without character collapses. Lincoln's lesson is clear. A nation stays free when its people remain willing to work, build, and steward freedom under God.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
I love it, Alex. What is the name of that one?
All right, this is called Warlord's Arrival by Tux.
How fitting, Alex, given our next guest. Colonel Kurt Schlichter is an attorney, retired Army infantry colonel, and one of the most unapologetically blunt conservative voices in American media. He holds a master's in strategic studies from the United States Army War College, commanded a cavalry reconnaissance squadron. I'd say that 25 times.
Easy there.
Yeah, and served in Desert Storm, Kosovo, and multiple domestic disaster operations. Before entering media, he spent years as a Los Angeles trial lawyer, sharpening the same aggressive clarity he now brings to his columns, commentary, and books. He's a senior columnist at Town Hall, a frequent guest on Fox News, Newsmax, and other major media outlets. Schlichter is also the best-selling author of the Kelly Turnbull People's Republic series, the novel The Attack, and the forthcoming American Warlord, a book already generating buzz for its unflinching look at power, conflict, and the future of American resilience. He lives in South Bay area of Los Angeles, where his hobbies include, get ready for this, Mert, red meat, red wine, and reminding people that 45 is the correct caliber. Welcome to the program, Colonel.
Thank you, and that concludes our segment with my resume.
Yeah, it was good, but very impressive, Colonel. I had to read it.
We got to add in, he wakes up like at 2 in the morning to host Piscopo show, because I'm the one who's in charge of cutting up that show. So he's a frequent fill-in host for Piscopo. So if he lives all the way in L.A., how early are you waking up to do that show?
Oh my gosh, it's 2:30 a.m. But at least it beats when I used to do Hugh Hewitt when he had the early show. I would have to get up at 1, drive to Irvine in the studio, do the show, then drive home at 6 a.m.
Oh my God!
So that was a lot. I still host for a lot of you Salem guys.
Right. That's
and we really appreciate it, Colonel. Let's get right to it, though, because they say that your opinion is extremely important. What's going on with the GOP? I mean, do you see a party in disarray or a party failing to read the terrain? Because I'm not getting a good vibe for the midterms, my friend.
I'm getting a very good vibe, especially compared to the historical trends. Historical trends say we should get wiped out. We should get punted through the goalposts of failure, but it doesn't look like that for a couple reasons. One reason is we've been aggressive about gerrymandering, so have the Democrats, but it kind of gives us a bottom, and the bottom's about 212 House seats. As for the Senate, it looks pretty tough for them because they'd have to take four seats, and they'd have to win 2 in double-digit Trump states, and that's highly unlikely. But the other thing is, and the thing that is really the Republicans' advantage, it's not anything the Republicans are doing, it's the complete failure of the Democrats. I mean, for instance, did you see that Maine debate where you had that transsexual ogre? That's like the ultimate. That's like, and everybody. And I wrote about it at Town Hall. It's coming out tonight. You've got this dude who's pretending to be a chick there, standing up on stage with everybody else, and none of the Democrats can, even the ones competing against him, because he is a him, can look at him and say, it's a dude pretending to be a chick. You can't vote for him. You've got to vote for me because at least I'm not a dude pretending to be a chick. The Democrats' popularity is in the toilet.
But don't they have bigger problems than I mean, we're talking about Mamdani. He's supposedly a Democrat socialist, but he's more socialist communist. And you've got these recent candidates out of New York, basically communists that are going to Washington. I think we have bigger problems than just a guy dressing up as a chick, don't you think?
Well, look, there's a difference between the major problems and the major thing that people are going to latch on to. And they're going to latch on to weirdness. As for the socialism thing, first of all, I'm not that worried about it because most of the Democrats have been socialists for a while. They just didn't call themselves socialists. The ones who call themselves socialists are active communists. So they're like one level behind. But if you look at where they're going, they're all winning in really deep blue states and deep blue districts. You know, the people that, you know, these Democrats in, for instance, New York or the mayor here in Los Angeles may be replaced by are just people just as to the left. They all agree on the same policies. I really think it's more of a branding issue where the ones who call themselves socialists are really a bunch of young, up-and-coming people who are sick of the gerontocracy that is the Democrat Party. I mean, the head of the Democrats was Nancy Pelosi. She's 84 years old.
Right.
She's ancient.
Yeah, Mert doesn't believe in age limits, Colonel. What is your position on that? Do you think we got to set age limits? You know, Biden was an embarrassment, and we've got quite a few senators that can barely talk and walk. About that, what do you? What's going on with this? Aging?
I think we have an age limit already, and that's the one established by the voters. If the voters want to put a 90-year-old in,
see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, I mean, you know, I don't want to tell people who they can and can't vote for. I want to convince them.
See that, Lucas? You got to slow down with this. You trying to put limits on people?
Nah.
How many years till you reach that age? You don't want nobody putting limits on you.
I have no intention to run. I have no intention to run for political office. That's the difference.
Oh, God, no. Who wants to take the pay cut and the cut in prestige?
Well, what? Well, you wouldn't run for office, Mr. Schlichter. You wouldn't throw your hat in there?
My congressman here in Los Angeles, and I am in the South Bay. I'm looking at the Pacific Ocean as we speak. My congressman's Ted Lieu. Okay, this is not a Schlichter environment.
Right. Well,
I'm a rebel. I'm an outcast.
Right. Let me ask you this.
I'm a desperado.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about what's the name just went on Joe Rogan, J.D. Vance, and he's getting a lot of blowback because people think that he's going against Trump. He's trying to position himself to go against Trump. What do you think about this it's like it's a new fog that's starting to creep up where people are starting to make these claims that there might be some dissension in the ranks and people are starting to jump off the MAGA train and they're starting to, you know, try to carve out their little niches so that they can lead the party after Trump is done?
Well, look, you're right in identifying that there's going to be a power struggle after Trump goes. What comes after Trump? Because Trump's so big, he takes up all the oxygen in the room. When you're in the room and Trump's talking, everyone else is gasping for air. Now, I'm not his pal, but I've spent a little time with J.D. Vance and looked at his career. And this is a guy who's unbelievably smart, and his wife is even unbelievably smarter. And he's a very cunning guy. Don't put it past him to be out there trying to create an identity of his own. Now, he's not going to go against Trump.
Right.
First of all, he supports Trump.
Right.
Second of all, it's political suicide to go against Trump. What he's going to do is create his own identity, and he's kind of doing that. And some of it, you know, I mean, I like him. I'm a supporter of J.D. Vance. I think he's done a great job as vice president. He is he's more critical. I wouldn't say critical of Israel, but he's tougher on Israel than probably I would be. My problem with Israel is they haven't killed enough Palestinian terrorists. But you know, he's got to create his own identity while not undermining his boss, right. And and he's got to do that. But look, it's pretty clear to me that the nomination is his.
Oh, you think he's the main guy? You think he's the next in line?
Yeah, he's the next in line. Now, he can screw it up. You know, everybody can screw things up. If he does, Marco Rubio will be ready to move in. But right now, I think he's I don't think there's going to be a primary. I think Donald Trump's going to pick the next Republican candidate by endorsing somebody.
Hey, Colonel, we have to take a quick commercial break. But folks, have no fear. When we return, Colonel Kurt Schlichter will rejoin us. For more information about the Colonel and his work, visit his law firm's website, ssndattorneys.com. That's ssndattorneys.com. He's got a bunch of books, including such titles as People's Republic, The Attack, along with his latest work, American Warlord, which is scheduled to come out in a few months, November, right? And find them all on Amazon and wherever books are sold. We'll also have the links posted on our website, Shake It Off Live. Colonel Schlichter will rejoin us, and when he does, expect the temperature to rise, the questions to sharpen, and the truth to walk through the front door without knocking.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 55 East 59th Street, New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
It's Johnny Braggs talking prostate cancer. 20 years ago, I came to Dr. Lederman with prostate cancer. It was serious. My stepfather died days after prostate surgery. My uncle never recovered from prostate surgery. I came to Dr. Lederman with prostate cancer and high PSA. Dr. Lederman explained all options, shared his and comparison results. I trusted Dr. Lederman 20 years ago. Today, I trust Dr. Lederman even more. My prostate cancer is gone. My PSA is 0. My quality of life is great. You can trust Dr. Lederman, too, like me, for over 20 years. Call Dr. Lederman, 212-CHOICES, 212-CHOICES, 1384 Broadway at 38th in Manhattan. Most insurances, Medicare or Medicaid. Call Dr. Lederman, 212-CHOICES.
Hey, Joe Piscopo, I want to tell you about gold, silver, and Landmark Capital. Over the past 2 years, gold and silver have outperformed all the major stock indexes. That's why a lot of people are rolling over their 401ks, IRA, and the physical gold and silver to take advantage of the protection of performance. And our friends at Landmark Capital can help you do this. Now is the time to move. They make it simple. You'll be educated on the different precious metal markets so you can choose what markets are best for you. That'll put you in the driver's seat, and your retirement will be safe, diversified, and growing. Give Landmark Capital a call, 844-604-2575, 844-604-2575. And when you do that, you could have a free, no-obligation strategy call with Mr. David Fisher, the CEO of Landmark Capital, and his team, 844-604-2575, 844-604-2575, or go online to landmarkgold.com. That's landmarkgold.com.
Hi, it's Arthur Aidala here for Bay Ridge Mazda, run by my buddy, Rob Sabah, a family-owned and operated Mazda dealership. At Bay Ridge Mazda, buying a car feels straightforward, comfortable, and personal. Their team takes the time to understand what matters most to you, your budget, your lifestyle, and how you really drive. They offer a great selection of new Mazdas, along with a wide range of high-quality pre-owned vehicles, all fully inspected and ready for the road. And when you call or text, you won't reach a call center. You'll speak with someone right there at the dealership, focused on helping you find the right fit. Bay Ridge Mazda, where every customer gets a real conversation and a clear path forward. Visit them at 9000 4th Avenue in Brooklyn or call or text 855-332-3476, 855-332-3476, 855-332-3476.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
We have been speaking with Colonel Kurt Schlichter. He's a retired Army infantry colonel, seasoned trial lawyer whose practice focuses on winning complex civil litigation for business and insurance clients. He's also a nationally known commentator, best-selling novelist, and upcoming author of American Warlord, and frequently appears on Fox News, Newsmax, and major media outlets. For more information about the Colonel and his work, visit his law firm's website, ssnkattorneys.com. He's got a bunch of books out there, including such titles as People's Republic, The Attack, along with his latest work, American Warlord, which is scheduled for release in early November. Find them all on Amazon, wherever books are sold, and we'll have the links posted on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Colonel, let's pick up where we left off. So I'm reading, and I think you disagreed earlier, but the Trump's numbers of approval ratings are underwater. Now, so from a strategist perspective, what do you think these numbers are signaling? You don't seem to think they're a problem, but I sense trouble in paradise.
Well, I would rather they be higher, but life is choices. So if you're going to choose between a Kamala Harris and a Donald Trump, you may not be thrilled with Donald Trump, but you may very well be terrified of a Kamala Harris. When you talk about, do you approve of this person, or do you approve or not? I've always thought that that's kind of an odd way to assess things, because it's not whether you approve or not. It's whether you're willing to choose that person over the alternative. And I think people are willing to choose the Republicans over the alternative. Look, I was just talking today with my lovely wife about young people and about how young. We go to lunch, right? And it's $40. When we were kids, did you ever spend $40 for lunch? It's crazy. How can people live like that? Okay, unless you've established yourself and built up a little cash reserve, just the regular spending. I mean, here in California, gas is $5.50 a gallon. That's murdering normal people.
Well, affordability is certainly an issue.
And people are sad about it.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute now. You just said something very important there, Mr. Schlichter. Donald Trump has been in office, and those problems are still in existence. So is it fair for the people to say, well, he's had his shot and nothing's getting better? In fact, it might be worse for some people. The way you just described it, it would not be an endorsement for Trump. So what would be your rationale, or how would you say it's not Trump, it's this? What would you say to that?
Well, because, first of all, Trump did not cause the inflation. The Inflation Reduction Act under Joe Biden did. And we don't have deflation, that is, prices coming down. The prices are up, and they're going to stay up, no matter who's there. What's important is to get the people's wages up. And wages are creeping up. Unemployment is getting better. People are getting opportunity, and Trump is bringing in lots of investments from overseas and within the country. It's going to take time. But should we hold Trump responsible? Of course. The guy in command is always responsible. But again, you've got to think the alternative. What are we going to go do? Grab Mamdani, the guy that thinks money grows off of trees, that the billionaires are going to buy us a pony? That's just crazy talk. Donald Trump's and the Republicans are responsible for making their case. Their best case is, look, things are tough now, but if you stick with us, they're going to get better, like they got better under President Reagan, like they got better under Trump the first time. They'll get better again under Trump 2.0. And that's the case to be made.
Hey, Colonel, our engineer, Alex Garrett, has a question for you. Go ahead, Alex.
Colonel Schlichter, good to hear from you tonight. Firstly, doesn't he have to end the war before midterms to make the strongest case that the GOP is the way to go? I feel like the war has to end before midterms. Wouldn't you agree?
And it certainly helped gas prices go through the roof, Colonel.
Well, gas prices have come down. The crude benchmarks are in the $80 range, which is pretty much normal. In a place like California, about $1.60 out of a 60-gallon gas is local, state and local taxes. But look, I think the important thing I would love the war to end. The war's been going on for 47 years since Iran started it. Trump needs to finish it, and we need to finish it with a unequivocal victory. I would rather win the war than end the war.
Why do you think? Why do you think Trump is getting a pass by his base when he said he wasn't going to get into any wars? Why do you think people are so quick to give him a pass?
Well, because he didn't get us into the war with Iran. He just started fighting back. The fact is, they've been killing Americans for 47 years. He saw what was going on over there. He saw that these guys can't have nuclear weapons. They can't have a giant missile arsenal. They can't continue to fund these proxies who attack us and our allies. They've got to be stopped. So guys like me, look, I was in high school when the Iran hostage crisis started. Right. I've always wanted to pave them over. So a lot of guys like me on the MAGA side are like, yeah, I don't want any new wars. Look, I've been in a couple of wars. I'm not for them, but I'm also not letting our enemies win.
Well, you can enlighten me here. So why haven't we attacked Iran, or maybe we have? I'm not sure. Why haven't we gone at them before? Because there's nothing's come to my mind of us ever being in a conflict with them.
Well, look, they murdered 243 Marines in Beirut in 1983. They killed a bunch of Americans in terrorist actions during the 80s and 90s. They killed hundreds and maimed hundreds more American soldiers in Iran by helping the Shia militias. They've been murdering Americans for 47 years.
Yeah, but Mert's question, Colonel, his question, Colonel, is why didn't we act sooner then? Why did we allow this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a great question. I love Ronald Reagan as much as anybody, but you killed 243 of our guys, and you got to die.
Right.
But Ronald Reagan was the guy. He was the commander-in-chief. He saw it differently. I'm glad. Look, I'm glad we're putting these guys away. I'm glad that Hezbollah is being wiped out. I'm glad the Houthis are being wiped out. I'm glad Hamas is being wiped out. I believe there's one thing that you do with your enemy. You defeat him completely and totally. I'm a Jacksonian, right? Like an Andrew Jackson guy. I don't particularly want to get in a fight, but if you make me get in a fight, I'm going to kill you and everybody else you ever met. And I think that's what Donald Trump is handling the war a little differently than I would have. He's been he's tried to negotiate. He's tried to reason. That didn't work. Now we're back to screwing with him kinetically. And yes, there's a cost. They killed several Americans in the last few days. The enemy always gets a vote. The enemy always gets to fight back. But the campaign that we have run against Iran, in conjunction with not only Israel but the Gulf Cooperation Council, the Arabs, has been unbelievable. It's been remarkable, both in relative lack of casualties and in effect. We've annihilated their nuclear program. Yes, it can be resurrected, but right now it's in ruins. So is their ability to create ballistic missiles. They have some ability, some offensive ability with drones and missiles, but it is strategic. It is operationally negligible. It is strategically important because people react to it.
Can I ask you?
It does have a
let me ask you a question. I'm gonna go in a different direction. What do you think about the job ICE is doing? Because they just had another situation. As somebody who's been in command, you one of the top guys in history. They speak about you in high regard. So if you could take over ICE, because they're having a lot of blunders, in my opinion, what would you do to run this organization differently? Because they keep killing people, and it doesn't look too good.
Well, look, law enforcement and physical violence is never attractive. It's ugly. But when you have a laws are enforced by people with guns. You remember that poor guy who just wanted to sell individual cigarettes, loosies, and it was illegal, and the cops confronted him, and he ended up dead. He ended up dead because of a stupid law. Okay? But that's the thing about law enforcement. When you eventually, the basis of law enforcement is force. 99.9% you don't have to use force. People just come along quietly. Sometimes they resist, and then it's ugly. The alternative to using force and having ugly things happen is to not enforce the law, to give people, I'll just give you a veto. If you're going to resist, I'm not going to do anything about it. But then you don't have any laws at all. We passed the immigration laws. Remember that Scholastic Rock? I'm just a bill, yet right. I'm only a bill, right? Our laws went through Congress, the guys we elected.
But
it was signed by the president.
Can I ask you this, though? Can I ask you this, though? But you know how they made that promise. You know how many people signed up when they said, we're going to give you all this money if you sign up for ICE? Isn't that like a problem where you have some people who are just eager to get the money and they might not be as interested in doing things the proper way? So they might be relying on force as opposed to protocol, and you could have issues. Would you have done anything differently? That's what I'm really trying to get to the bottom of.
Well, look, you're bringing up a very good point, because when I was a commander, 90% of my time was on 10% of my knuckleheads. Okay, any organization is going to have a bell curve, right? And there's a tail end of the bell curve where you have people who are dumb, people who are evil, people who are ignorant. Look, when you hire 12,000 ICE guys, it's not going to be 12,000 perfectly upright heroes.
Right.
Adults like you and I and our listeners understand that there are going to be screw-ups in it, and you have to have high and exacting standards. Look, when the American government uses violence and kills an American citizen, or even a non-American citizen, we've got to take that seriously. We've got to investigate it and make sure it was done right. And look, if you're trying to run me over, you're getting shot. Okay, that's how that works. What were the situations here? I don't have all the facts, and I know from both being a lawyer and being a soldier that the first reports are always wrong. You don't have the entire story. You don't have the entire background. I'll wait to see it. And if somebody acted improperly, you've got to enforce high standards. But here's what the Democrats are saying. Because you're not perfect, or allegedly not perfect, because we don't know whether this was good or bad or whatever, because you were allegedly not perfect, we just can't enforce the law at all. By coincidence, I don't like the law, so it really works out well for me. No thanks. We passed the law. We're going to enforce it. If you resist, we're going to use physical force in a reasonable, lawful way to compel your obedience to the law. And that's the way it is. And if we screw up doing it, we will discipline people inside our organization.
Hey, Colonel, we only have about a minute. What inspired American Warlord, which I believe is coming out in November, right? And why release it now, American Warlord?
Well, look, American Warlord's a story of the whole country falls apart, and a normal American, a regular guy who just knows a little history, particularly about the Romans, comes along and applies the lessons of history to start rebuilding civilization. So many people live in the present. And they don't think about the future, but they also don't think about the past. The past is great because it's like a sneak preview of our future. You look at history, you're going to learn what's going to happen. And I just love history. It's our story, and we ought to learn it and celebrate it and teach it, because it's going to show us where all the landmines are.
American Warlord, my friend. Colonel, would you believe we've run out of time? For more information about the Colonel and his work, visit his law firm's website, ssnkattorneys.com. He's got a bunch of books, including such titles as People's Republic, The Attack, along with his upcoming work, American Warlord, scheduled for release in early November. Find them all on Amazon, wherever books are sold. We'll also have the links posted on our website, shakeitofflive.com. Thanks for coming on on the program,
And let
Colonel.
me say this. He has the game show host voice, but I didn't realize just how intense and to the point Mr. Schlichter was. I'm very impressed because you have this game show voice. You know, you could be a host on one of these game shows, but you do not hold back, and I give you respect. And I'm not a Republican, to be honest, so I respect anybody who speaks what they honestly feel. So
thank you, Colonel.
Well, when you talk to a jury, you got to be straight with them.
Right.
Thanks very much. You guys
Thank
are
you,
great.
Colonel. Next up, Alicia Scoville. She's a retired U.S. Air Force sergeant, CEO of Colville Construction. She's a veterans advocate, and we're going to be talking about successful civilian careers while building stronger teams and communities. So it's imperative you come back after the news at the top of the hour, suffered through a few commercial messages. Mert, Alex, and I, along with the rest of the AM 970 team, will be waiting right here for you. We know you want it. We know you want to shake it off with us. We know you do. So please come back for hour 2 of Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas Live. Lots more controversy and maybe, just maybe, some answers await. Stick around after the break. Air Force Sergeant and passionate veteran advocate Alicia Scoville joins us. Get ready for straight talk, more real-world expertise, and more voices who get things done.
The preceding hour of programming is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.
In a world that screams for your attention, there is a place that invites you to peace. You don't need a building. You don't need a choir. You just need to turn your heart to Air One.
Air One, songs that heal, lyrics that pray for you when you don't have the words.
From Lauren Daigle to Elevation Worship and more.
This isn't just radio, it's worship for the everyday.
Escape the noise and worship now.
Download the Air One app, ask your smart speaker to play Air One, or visit air1.com. Air One, worship now.